single book recommendations for beginners. Now, when I say this, this is probably presuming that the person has already got a copy of Initiation into Hermetics. If I just say that, what is there a book you would recommend for people who've gone, okay, I'm gonna focus on this Initiation into Hermetics book, however I choose to approach it, do you have a book that you would recommend that you has found to be invaluable? Didi and Armand.
Actually, I brought it. It's always on my nightstand, so I don't know if you can read it.
The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence.
Scovel, Shinn. Double N at the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a very thin book.
It's that thin.
But it's lovely. It's a great book. It's from, I don't know if the date is in here, but it's quite an old book. And yeah, it starts with the power of the word, the law of non-resistance, the law of karma, and the law of forgiveness, casting the burden, love, intuition or guidance, perfect self-expression of the divine design, denials, and affirmations. It's actually written by a woman, so I like that. Like, I see here there are a lot of men in this world, so I like to bring forward something that was written by a woman. I think it's
beginning of the 20th century, around the 1920s.
1920.
It's a bit around the same time I think that the Kybalion came out. It's American. I think it's in that same sort of movement that's happening there. So yeah.
So it's great read. And what I do is I've read it like once, the full thing, and now it's on my nightstand, and sometimes I feel like, now I just need a page, and every time I'm like, there's a great lesson in there. So yeah, I like it.
It's like a magical book, right? It's this thin, but it seems that thick. It's like, and it grows on you too.
Yeah.
Cool.
That was mine.
Yeah. So I'll have a single book recommendation, and it's maybe not what you expect, but get a notebook and a pen, charge it with your intentions. And that's the most important book you're ever going to read, because it's your story, it's your journey, and if you continue on it, it might help a lot of people beside yourself, right? So that's the most important book of all. It's the one that you are going to write. So.
Oh, I love that. That's a nice one. All right, Clint, what can you add to this one, sir? A single book recommendation for those on the Initiation to Hermetics pathway.
The Power of Now. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Boom.
Yeah, it's sitting right here. I mean, I have it this close to me at all times. And it is a fantastic book. I read it originally when I lived for 6 months in a silent monastery, and it was recommended to me, and it really helped me then. And I go back and reread it or read parts of it now. And I mean, honestly, this is going to sound heretical again. If you master everything in the power of now, there's no reason to do initiation into Hermetics. Right. You're there. You've got your spiritual enlightenment, and any magical abilities you're meant to have will come with that. But yeah, it's a fantastic book. And it's not just about living in the now. It's about all sorts of tactics to increase your spiritual presence until suffering no longer arises.
Wonderful. Thank you, Clint. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. All right, Bob, single book recommendation for beginners on the Hermetic initiation pathway.
I am going to cheat. So I'm going to give you 2 books. Circles of Power by John Michael Greer and Paths of Wisdom, because they're actually one book. A big mistake. And yeah, okay, nerd flex here. Signed first edition because I know John. But a mistake a lot of guys from the Barden tradition make, from what I've seen, is there's only a couple thousand years of history regarding Hermetics, and a lot of these ritual magicians figured a lot of things out. We're approaching that from a different mechanism than they do, but that doesn't mean they don't have something to tell us as well, particularly regarding theory. So Circles of Power digs into all that Golden Dawn stuff in modern language and explains exactly how they do it. Super valuable book. And Paths of Wisdom gets into all of the theory behind the Tree of Life. What the spheres do, what the individual paths do, what you're going to encounter when you're working with that stuff. And it also, both books have a lot, and this is unusual for our community, but very valuable indexes and abstracts where John tells you where he got his stuff from. So if you want to learn about, hey, these are the foundational works that, guys did, the pick a trick, stuff like that, the books of occult wisdom, all that kind of business. There's real value in learning that stuff to know when you're engaging with these things with your subtle senses, where a lot of that came from, what other people have seen. And because a lot of these works, these source documents, are really old, it gives really valuable insight into how the Western mind approached this 200, 400, 600, 800 years ago, and kind of how we got to where we are now. Again, it's not going to help your practice any, guys. It's not going to shorten the amount of time it takes you to learn how to do one thing or another. And it's going to provide a lot of insight into where the Western mind got a hold of these concepts from and how they all kind of got put together. And so, again, without getting too long-winded into it, because of the Inquisition, Western practitioners were forced to write things down. In Asia, they largely didn't have to, because there was never a time you couldn't operate an open mystery school. We had about a 400-year period in the West where you couldn't do that. So the advantage is a lot of this theoretical information is actually written down. Whereas in Asia, it's more of a student-teacher type transmission arrangement. And again, it's not going to solve your problems, but it might provide some insight into, oh, okay, I'm working with Gabura and this happened. Or, I'm working from one level of reality to another and this happened. All right, that makes sense now. So, for what it's worth, Paths of Wisdom and Circles of Power by John Michael Greer. Great reads.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, I'm actually doing a reread of Paths of Wisdom at the moment. It's just, man, because I've read a lot of books on Tree of Life, and some of them are like mid 20th century, but
Right.
this one's just very accessible. You don't have to try and sort of be intellectually agile with lots of old school language and things. It's